That's whenever I had taken my French piece for school, and then it was like the first time I took it, and I sat in that room and just like for 5 hours straight. You were working on something. I think it showed up. We are one in the spirit. We are one. We are one. No, I haven't been to the fair since I was like a freshman in high school.
Oh my gosh, it's my highlight of the year.
Oh, really? You know, if I had somebody to go with, I'd go.
Well, go with me.
Today?
No, not today.
What day?
I don't know. What day you want to go?
Well, I have to do my...
You got to work.
Yeah, but I can do a half day. I'd go to the fair.
How long is it in town for?
Megan's like, wait, I'm not.
No, I'm just curious. I do not want to go to the fair.
Sarah's working there.
I will not ride the rides.
Sarah's working it today. Their scouts do a work in the sessions.
We are one in the spirit. We are one in the Shani, we play an A flat really quick.
What?
A flat.
What did we say? What did we do at Wolfstead?
I wrote it on that sticky note. Will you please play an A flat for me? That's not an A flat.
A flat? I think it's
I was like, there's no way that I cannot hit it. Like, that's insane. Okay.
Good morning and welcome to First Presbyterian Church, Elizabethton. This morning's service is recorded and live stream broadcast on our church's YouTube channel, which can be found at fpcelizabethton.org.
In the name of the God who created us, in the name of the Christ who teaches us, in the name of the Spirit who journeys alongside us throughout our lives, welcome home, children of God. Peace be with you. Good morning and welcome to First Presbyterian Church this morning as we gather together as God's people in God's name. It is wonderful to be here this morning. Welcome all of you if you're joining us here in person or online. Thanks for being a part of the worship service this morning. If you're online, would you please take a quick moment, sign in the YouTube chat, let us know you're here so we can add you to the number of folks who are in church today. As we do every Sunday, we'll give $1 for everybody worshiping with us to a local or international ministry. Today is the 4th Sunday of August, so today's recipient of Everyone Counts is Helene Relief here in East Tennessee. So just by showing, and there's still a lot of work to do as we're coming up on the 2nd anniversary of Helene here next month. So just the gift of your time today, showing up, giving your time and attention to worship, that makes a real and tangible difference in our community. So thank you for that gift today. Reminders that the nominating committee and the community outreach committee both meet right after church today. Community outreach, y'all can have the conference room across from my office. Nominating committee, we'll just meet in my office since there's a small number of us. Ask you to add to the prayer list. We've got a number of people on there, a lot of stuff going on. All of that in your weekly e-news, but would you add to that, please? David Rohn had a his 7-year-old niece contracted a very rare, parasitic amoeba. Thank you. I was trying to come up with that term and couldn't. Thanks, Rebecca. And passed away last night. So just devastating for the family, but please keep, her name is Lillian. So please keep David and Lillian and all their family in your prayers. Other joys, concerns, announcements. I know Mary Beth's making her way up here. Anybody else have anything? Oh, Megan? You and Mary Beth fight it out. Whoever gets there first.
The first thing is that the handbells will be starting to rehearse in September. We'll rehearse on the 1st and 3rd Sundays after church for like an hour, not long. If you have any questions, you don't have to be the most fluent music reader on the planet. You can just play one bell if you want. It's really okay. But you can talk to me or Joan. It's not intensive, and we have a lot of fun. So that's the first thing. Second thing is if I have a prayer request. It's actually for my sister. She was diagnosed with Crohn's a couple years ago, and she just had to go to the hospital for a bad flare-up. She's okay now, but it's just a long, hard road, and it's just a lot for her. So, I mean, if y'all could just, so thank you. It's Crohn's. She has Crohn's, yeah. Lauren, it's Lauren Quillen, yeah. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. Mary Beth here, reminding you about our senior center. And the Bonnie Kate today is showing a movie called Singin' in the Rain at 2 o'clock. And your $8 for your space in the seat will go to the senior center. Woohoo! And it's before the prayer circles in the backyard.
So you can do both, make it afternoon. Any other joys or concerns, celebrations, announcements? Okay. Then we continue to worship today the same way we do every Sunday by celebrating the gospel around which we gather. That is the reminder that God loves all of us and everyone throughout the world without condition and without exception. That includes all of us in our unique and beautiful diversity: lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer, straight, male, female, non-binary, black, brown, white, Asian, indigenous, everyone looking for wisdom, insight in Christianity and other spiritual traditions, in science, in nature, in fellowship with one another and the world around us. Everyone, rich and poor, young and old, able-bodied and disabled, suffering and rejoicing, for all are loved and embraced by God without condition and without exception. So welcome, beloved community. We give thanks again today for the ancestral Cherokee land on which we are gathered, for for the loving waters of the Watauga and the Doe River watersheds that nourish us. We commit ourselves again to work for truth and reconciliation among all people, to respect each other and creation in all we say and do. So let's worship.
Our invitation to worship this morning is Won't You Celebrate With Me by Lucille Clifton. Please join me in the bold type. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model. Born in Babylon, both non-white and woman, what did I see to be except myself? I made it up here on this bridge between starshine and clay. My one hand holding tight, my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. Our hymn is number 52, When Israel Was in Egypt's Land.
Let my people
And I invite us to take a moment, greet one another, whatever way you're comfortable, hug, handshake, peace sign, high five. You are online, enjoy the friendly, smiling faces on the slideshow.
I thought it was mine. I'm sorry. I looked at it and I was like, this isn't that one. So I started laughing. No, I wasn't. I was trying to just be funny. It's okay. I was like, is that one? This is mine.
I'm so sick of hearing about this. I love that sweater, by the way.
Yeah, I also really like that sweater.
Oh, I got also pretty. I love it.
I don't want to sing the meditation, then the reading, then the anthem, which was reading. Look at the reading.
Yeah, the
yes.
reading's nuts.
Yes. I was like,
Why are we talking about Israel so much? That's why I just came over here until I was like, bro,
I'm sick.
I'm sick of it. You want me to walk out? I didn't even look at it.
I know, that's why I was like, I'm shocked you're just agreeing.
Well, whenever I was sitting over there, I was just like, surely it won't be bad. And I looked at it, I was like, right. Got it.
It didn't happen anyway. The Jews were never in Egypt. They were never enslaved.
I hope these mics are.
They probably are. They very probably
I
are.
would assume your dad will say something in the same thing.
Who cares? It's an honest opinion.
It's so funny that, like, we'll say some wild stuff, and 3 people will be listening and everybody else is tuned out. That's happened a few times, and then I'll see, like, those 3 people's reactions. Like, it's so fun.
Yeah, I bet it's really fun to watch people's
I
reactions.
can't
when we're up
imagine,
there.
yeah.
At some point, he'll start losing people, and then he'll say something, and, like, the 3 people will still have
I didn't jump up here during the announcements because I knew I'd have a chance to say something about the dances with the meditation. And I always have the funniest time when it's time to invite people to come. And the thing is, I love it. And I'd love for you to come and give it a go. Cody and his band are going to be playing. That's Cody and Jim and Sherry. And the music alone will lift you to another place. But I hope you'll come and give it a go at 5 o'clock. And we will be indoors, Mary Beth, because I'm not much for moving out there in the sweat. So come celebrate with us tonight, 5 o'clock, with a potluck after. So I'll invite you to move into your meditation sit. Seems to work better with your feet on the floor, your hands in a place where they can be still. And notice your breath. We let our breath take us deeper, quieter. And when you catch yourself being taken away by a thought, I invite you to simply say, "This is how it is right now." And come back to that place inside and rest. Each thought gives you a chance to come back to God, come back to your soul. This is how it is right now. as we rest in the absolute love of God. May you let it sustain you through the difficulties that life brings. And take just a moment as we close to share that love, to share that peace with those whose hearts are broken. So be it.
We've got a long reading this morning from Exodus. Now a new king over Egypt, who did not know Joseph, said to his people, "Look, the Israelite people are more numerous and more powerful than we. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, or they will increase, and in the event of war, join our enemies and fight against us and escape from the land." Pharaoh sent taskmasters over them to oppress them with forced labor. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So that the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites. The Egyptians became ruthless in imposing tasks on the Israelites and made their lives bitter with hard service in mortar and brick and in every kind of field labor. They were ruthless in all the tasks that they imposed on them. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shiphrah and the other Puah, "When you act as midwives to the Hebrew women and see them on the birth stool, if it is a boy, kill him, but if it is a girl, she shall live." But the midwives feared God. They did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but they let the boys live. So the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and said to them, "Why have you done this?" and allowed the boys to live. The midwives said to Pharaoh, "Because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwives come to them." So God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and became very strong. Then the Pharaoh commanded all his people, "Every boy that is born to the Hebrews you shall throw into the Nile, but you shall let every girl live." Now a man from the house of Levi went and married a Levite woman. The woman conceived and bore a son. When she saw that he was a fine baby, she hid him for 3 months. When she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and plastered it with bitumen and pitch. She put the child in it and placed it among the reeds on the bank of the river. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. The daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe at the river. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her maid to bring it. Pharaoh's daughter said, "Take this child and nurse it for me, and I will give you your wages." So the woman took the child and nursed it. When the child grew up, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and she took him as her son. She named him Moses because, she said, "I drew him out of the water."
That was beautiful, Megan and Cody. I love that setting, and you did such an amazing job. Yeah, just so beautiful. Rebecca, thank you for that meditation this morning. Bobby, thanks for reading. It was certainly a long reading, but it's hard to get the story without doing the whole thing, because there was not a natural break to kind of get through that story, and it's an important one. And so that's what we're going to talk about this morning, is that story. And I want to invite you for just a second to think about the names of the characters that we encountered in that story this morning. Think about who we heard about. We've got the midwives, right? Shiphrah and Puah. They are named as the midwives that were delivering Hebrew babies, eventually delivered the baby that grows up to be Moses. We get Joseph. Joseph was several generations before this story took place. He was the great-grandson of Abraham. He's the reason the Israelites ended up in Egypt in the first place. So he sensed a famine coming. He was sold into Egypt. His brothers came down. He's the reason the Israelites are there in the first place. We get mentioned the king of Egypt. Sometimes elsewhere in this story referred to as Pharaoh. Pharaoh, is it's a title like king or lord. It's not a name. Nobody's naming their kid Pharaoh Jones in 1200 BC. And as it turns out, though, Bible doesn't give us Pharaoh's name. And I thought that was kind of interesting, because Pharaoh is undoubtedly the most powerful person in this story. He commands armies. He controls the Egyptian economy. He issues orders and people obey. He is undeniably the most powerful person in the land. And the Bible story, the long Bible story that Bobby read this morning, does not even bother to give him a name. We get the names of other people. Joseph makes sense, right? He's the reason they're there in the first place. The name of the baby Moses makes sense. We get that. Moses, you know the story, is the one who grows up to lead the challenge Pharaoh and ultimately lead the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt and through the desert for 40 years to the Promised Land. That's Moses' story. Shiphrah and Puah, they are kind of important characters. In the story, though, let's not forget who they were. They were Hebrew midwives. The Hebrews were an enslaved people. So Shiphrah and Puah are named, but from Egypt's standpoint, they would have been counted as property. But we get their names and not Pharaoh's, which is not an accident. The story begins with a new Pharaoh that has come to power, someone who, quote, did not know Joseph. So if you don't remember Joseph's story, Joseph was the guy who interpreted dreams. So Joseph of the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, right? His brothers sell him into slavery. He winds up in Egypt. He's imprisoned. But he interprets Pharaoh's dreams to understand that a famine is about to occur. And so Pharaoh starts filling up storehouses to combat the famine. Joseph is correct. And Joseph becomes a person of some renown. Joseph's brothers eventually fled down to Egypt to flee the famine in their own land. So when the text tells us that this new Pharaoh did not know Joseph, what it means is that Pharaoh, the person in power, the person accustomed to controlling the narrative, has chosen to forget Joseph. This is ideological amnesia in service of power. Pharaoh looked at the Hebrew people, saw that they were productive, they were numerous, they were contributing, and he saw a threat. And pay attention, this is fascinating to me. Pay attention to what he says here. Look, he tells his people, those Hebrews are more numerous and more powerful than we are. Maybe that was true numerically, maybe not. The story doesn't tell us. But when you want to frighten people into scapegoating a population, You don't need evidence. You just need a story. And the story is that those people are taking over. Those people are going to take your place. Those people don't belong here because they are not like us. And you keep repeating that narrative over and over, and the facts don't really matter. And so Pharaoh's solution is the solution of the playbook of every frightened authoritarian in Pharaoh's time and ever since. Forced labor, oppression, control. Build the storehouses, extract the value from the land and the people, and when that didn't work, when remarkably the people, as the story said, multiplied and spread despite the oppression, Pharaoh escalated. He summoned the midwives. And he tells them, when you act as midwives to the Hebrew women, if it's a boy, kill him. You can let the girls live. He wanted those midwife women to become agents of death on behalf of Egypt. Shiphrah and Puah said no. They refused to comply. As I was sharing this story, this sermon, I told you I have a couple of colleagues that I send they're part of my heretics group. We send our sermons to one another every week. And one of them I was in seminary with reminded me of this, and I had forgotten, but it was a fascinating story. So we're in an ethics class in seminary, and we were debating the idea of, is it okay to tell a lie sometimes? Is it ethically, morally okay to tell a lie? And the professor used the example of, the Nazis come knocking at your door and ask, are you hiding any Jews in the attic? Do you tell the truth? And debated about that for a while, and he came back and he said, obviously the answer is no, because the question itself is the lie. The question is not, are you hiding Jews in the attic? The question is, do you have Jews in your house that we can kill? So the question was a lie. The answer, the moral thing to do, was to respond to the real question underneath. And so the real question Pharaoh is asking is, are you killing children? And the Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah, stood before the most powerful man in the country. They looked him in the eye, and they told the truth and walked out. But the truth in that case was a risky move. That was civil disobedience. And they put themselves in danger by disobeying Pharaoh's orders. Even if they were telling the truth, which is no, there are no Hebrew boys that we are going to kill. They were telling the truth, but there were no legal protections for them, no court system, no appeals process for them if they were caught for telling the truth. Because if Pharaoh decided they were lying and wanted them executed, nobody would have stood in their way. But day by day, baby after baby, they chose to be instruments of life instead of the death that Pharaoh wanted. They kept on doing what they had always done, but doing that for them was civil disobedience. And there's a turning point in this story, even though the actual freedom from slavery was probably decades away, because Moses is just born. It is not until he grows up, discovers himself, and challenges Pharaoh, probably at least 20 years, that the Hebrew people are freed. So it's not an immediate, happy ending, but the turning point is there, or the foreshadowing of it. Because there's a lot more story to go, but there's a shift. Pharaoh escalates the oppression. He demands more labor, harder conditions, more cruelty, and the story reads, the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. The more Pharaoh oppressed them, the stronger they became. I think that runs against all of Pharaoh's logic, all of kind of conventional logic, right? He used force and intimidation to produce compliance, to make people stay in line. And instead, that force and compliance produced the opposite. The more he tried to stamp out life and hope, the stronger it grew. People survived by continuing to care, continuing to hope, continuing to resist and work for a different future because they were strong. And that strength is what kept the future alive. Pharaoh's name is never mentioned in this story or anywhere else in the Bible. Shiphrah and Puah are named. And again, in one sense, they didn't do anything out of the ordinary. They were midwives. They showed up every day and did their job. They did the thing they had always done. They delivered babies. They took care of mothers and their children. And they showed up the next day and they did it again. But their small act of resistance mattered. And I want to remind us that so do ours. Maybe it's sheltering neighbors who have been targeted. Maybe it is quietly accompanying someone to an appointment or driving them to one in another state. Maybe it's writing a letter or making a phone call, providing a meal, or just showing up to sit with someone. The story is a reminder that when policies and power decide that some people don't belong, that some people are too numerous, and the best response to a human being is to remove them, it doesn't always take grand gestures or public displays. Sometimes it just means showing up and doing our job, like Shiphrah and Puah did. But without those two women, there would have been no Moses. There would have been no King David generations later whose house and lineage gave rise to Jesus. All of that wiped out without Shiphrah and Puah. History does not remember the powerful the way they imagine it will. Pharaoh wanted to be remembered as the man who controlled the Hebrews, who filled the storehouses, who kept the empire secure. What he's remembered as instead is the unnamed ruler who was outmaneuvered by two midwives and then watched his dynasty unravel because of a child in a basket. But we do remember Shiphrah and Puah. The story remembers Moses' mother, who hid her baby for 3 months. It remembers Miriam, the little girl who watched from a distance. The story even remembers Pharaoh's own daughter, not a Hebrew, not a believer, not anyone's idea of a religious hero. But she looked into a basket and heard a baby cry and chose compassion over compliance. None of those characters were powerful people in the way that Pharaoh would have understood. But I think the invitation of the text is not complicated. It is just be a midwife. Not because it's safe, but it's because what life requires. Do the work that protects the vulnerable in whatever form that takes for us. Show up at the door, fill out the form, say what is necessary. Trust that the universe has a way of multiplying what the powerful try to suppress. Pharaoh's name isn't in the text, because I want to suggest he was just a supporting cast member. Shiphrah and Puah are the heroes of this story. It's the story that is still unfolding in the work of God's people. The abolitionist and Unitarian minister of the 19th century, Theodore Parker, preached in a sermon. It's usually attributed to MLK because MLK borrowed it, but Theodore Parker, Unitarian abolitionist minister, said this first in a sermon. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. That is the path that Shiphrah and Puah took by just showing up and doing what they do. So many others have been a part of that too. We are still a part of that story. We are a part of that arc. Pharaoh is not even named in the story. Shiphrah and Puah are. Maybe ours will be someday too. Blessed be. Amen. Invite us to stand and sing together. If you have an offering you'd like to make, I welcome you to bring that up as we sing, and the words for the doxology are printed in your bulletin.
Shall be amen. World without end, amen. Without end,
whatever that looks like, that stuff matters. It adds up. It is story changing. Even if we don't see the results for a while to come, know that those things make a difference. And support one another, support each other in doing them. Blessed be. We'll sing a blessing to each other as we part. The words are in your bulletin. Let me invite us to circle up. Reminder that community outreach will meet across the hall, nominating committee in my office. And let's sing a blessing to each other as we leave.